Back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to do a clay lesson. I'm going to show you a step-by-step tutorial on how to make this cute little penguin pinch pot. He's super cute, super easy to make out of clay, and a little bonus, because it's a little pinch pot, you can use it for maybe storing something like little rings or I don't know, little marbles. I actually like to use it as a little tea light holder, so you could do the same. You could pop a little candle in like so, and it's the perfect little tea light holder. Okay, so I'm going to pop him down there. All you'll need is a ball of clay. I use this brand here. I get it in Mr. Price. It's the white air dry clay, and I just like it. I prefer it nearly to the brown clays or the terracotta clays. It's cleaner to work with, it's easy to work with, and then when you go to paint it, you don't have to worry about doing a white layer for the colours to come through. So yeah, it would be my number one pick now for type of clay. So when you have your ball of clay, roll up your sleeves, and then you're going to start rolling your ball of clay. You just want to warm it up, is what we say. So to warm up your clay, just roll it around using the palm of your hand. Just roll it around in a ball. You just want to make it super warm, easy to work with, nice and smooth, stretchy. Yeah, we just want to work it out. So spend a couple of minutes just warming up your clay. As I said, working with it in your hands, squeezing it, rolling it. And when you're happy enough and you think it's nice and smooth and ready to work with, we can begin. So what we need to do, we need a main body part of the penguin. Okay, so we need kind of one ball for the body part, and we're going to cut off a little bit to use for the flippers, the feet, and the beak. We need a small little bit of clay. So I'm going to take this ball so you can see what kind of size I have. I suppose it fits in my hand, not too much. And I'm going to take about this much off. Let me see, would that make flippers, feet? Maybe a little bit more. Okay, I have more there if I need it, but I think that should be plenty for the flippers, the feet, and the beak. So leave your small part to the side, and now we're going to work this ball into a nice smooth ball shape. And you're just using the palm of your hand all the time. Always use the palms, they're nice and strong when you're working with clay. Now when you're happy and it's in a ball, like this, we are ready to start forming our penguin. So with the ball shape, to make the pinch pot, you must stick your thumb into the top of the ball. You stick your thumb into the top of the ball, see the way my thumb is in the top of the ball, and pull it back towards the sides. So now I'm going to put it down on the table, and I'm going to work with my thumb, pushing it back from the center to the side, and that gives you your little pot shape. So just want to be able to show you what the shape looks like at the moment. So I've pushed my thumb in and I'm pushing it back. And now when you have that kind of basic shape for the pinch pot, we must start working that now to look like a body of a penguin. So I'm going to kind of push these wee bits down. I'm going to straighten them out a bit. I don't really want it to look like a bowl, so I'm just using my hands to press down into the table. Now you might need a clay mat, depending on what, like my clay comes off easily off my desk area, but if you're working with a different kind of stickier clay, you might need a clay mat, and you have to be very careful that you're able to lift your ball or pot off the table. Sometimes clay can be quite sticky and stick down to the surface. So a good way to check that it's okay is to keep lifting it up. Okay, so I'm just using my fingers. I'm rubbing out any cracks. So what I mean by cracks is, you see here, I see cracks in my clay. You don't really want cracks in your clay, so smooth them out with your thumbs. Any cracks you see, smooth them out. So that's what I'm going to spend the next couple of minutes doing, is just smoothing out any cracks that I see. And again, making sure that you're happy with your kind of penguin shape. I'm kind of happy enough with that. That's where my like penguin face is going to be. Yeah, I'm happy enough. So it's up to you if you're happy enough with your little pot shape. Remember, it is a little pinch pot, and we're just forming it into a little penguin character to add a little bit of fun to your pinch pot. Okay, so I'm just smoothing out any cracks that I might have. Using my fingers. Okay, I think I'm happy enough with that. Okay, so I'm going to put that down. Now, the next job I'm going to do, so this is the way it looks front on, and that's, you can see what it looks like when you're looking from above. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is add on the flippers. So you take a little bit of clay, probably even maybe that much. So say this much for a wee flipper at the side. And what you want to do, roll it into a sausage first, just to warm it up, into a ball and into a sausage. Okay? When you have that sausage shape, press down and flatten it a little bit. Now don't go too thin, we don't want a pancake. Just flatten it a little bit. And then down near one of the ends, kind of make it a wee bit pointier into that kind of flipper shape. And the same thing applies, rub out or smooth out any cracks. Now we want to add this to mine is a little bit long, so look, I'm just after testing it against mine, a little bit long, so I'm going to take a wee bit off the top. Okay, I'm going to kind of apply it to the top. So that's okay, I'm happy enough with that by the time I add take a wee bit more off. Okay, so when you're adding, this part's really important because this is where sometimes our clay can break if we don't attach the pieces properly. So, sorry, I forgot to mention at the start the other materials. I don't actually have many clay materials to hand, for creating, tools for adding details or that. But I think this is just like a skewer, a food skewer, or a cocktail stick, or a really thin fork or something is absolutely fine. You don't have to have a special set of clay tools, okay? So I'm taking my little skewer, I'm going to go for the pointy edge. A pencil actually is perfect for this as well. And what you must do is kind of scratch out an area. Now don't put it through, you're just scratching out an area. You're kind of crisscrossing lines, okay? So you crisscross lines, a few lines go in one direction, and then a few lines go in the opposite direction. And when you have that done, take your flipper and press it onto that scratched out area and smooth. Now this part's really important. You must make sure that you smooth the flipper clay straight onto the pinch pot, onto the body. If you don't have them really well smoothed down together and joining and all now kind of as one piece, it will fall off. You need to make sure that you're really careful that you have attached it properly. Okay, you need to take some of the clay from the flipper and rub it down onto the body of the penguin. And if you do that, it will not fall off. Okay, so there you go. You can see my flipper is attached and I'm happy with that. So that's what it looks like when you're looking at it front on. Okay, so that's one on. We do the exact same process for the other side. Take a little bit of clay, roll it into a sausage, Okay, when we have that sausage, we press down on it and point out one end. Now let me just check for size. Yeah, I might take a tiny bit off that, but it should be okay. Now, on the other side, we must do the exact same thing. Scratch out 1, 2, 3 diagonal lines one way, 1, 2, 3, or 4, whatever you want. As long as it's scratched out with 2 sets of diagonal lines, well, one set going one direction and the other set of lines going the other direction, kind of like a crisscross is what you want. And you press your flipper down on top of that, and then again smooth out your flipper, the top of it, onto the penguin's body, onto the pitch pot. You need to make sure that you apply it really well and join them together. Okay, I'm just smoothing that now, making sure I have loads of clay from my flipper joined onto my body. So now it's all the one. Okay, so that's how it's looking so far. If you're looking straight on, that's my 2 flippers on. Okay, I'm happy with that. Now the next thing we need to make are the feet. Okay, so to make the feet, we take a little bit of clay. Now we only need a small bit for this, maybe even literally a little small ball. Okay, be a little tiny bit more for me. Take your little ball, pop it down on the table, and then even using your wee skewer, pull some of that clay in at 2 intersections, because that's where your little web toes are going to be, and point them out. Okay, now I might need a wee bit more clay just because when it comes to connecting, so I need it to be a little bit thicker. I'm just going to do that again. Yeah, take a good bit of clay. I'm just thinking of the connection for underneath. So maybe take this size of ball. I'm just thinking when we connect the feet to the bottom. So you can see here, they're well connected. So take, yeah, maybe this size. Excuse me. Okay, so back down with our little ball, press it down. Get your skewer to bring in 1 and 2 little sections, and squeeze them into little webbed feet at each corner. Okay, now I think I'm happy enough with that one. So again, we're going to scratch. I just call it scratching. You're going to do your crisscross lines and add on your foot, your little webbed foot. Now, as you can see, you kind of put most of the back of the foot on underneath, and we're going to smooth it into the very bottom of the penguin's body. Okay, and just check now that you're happy enough with your toes. Now it's really important that we kind of, if possible, I might even need a wee bit extra clay, try and bring some of that clay. You can even use your little, yeah, maybe use your little clay tool to bring some of the body even down at the top of the foot as well. It needs to be connected at all angles to the main body, or it will break. Okay, I'm just fixing up my little web, and that's my foot on. Okay, that's my foot on. It's one on. Now I need to do the other one. Okay, so again, it is a little bit fussy, but should be okay. Maybe just go with a little bigger ball of clay so you've plenty to smooth on. Okay, so again, roll it into a ball, press down, and get your little pencil or skewer or cocktail stick. Make 2 little sections, because that's just going to give us a guide as to where we can squeeze out the webbed feet, out the toes. Okay, there's another little foot ready to go on. So I'm going to turn up my pot and I'm going to scratch, adding my crisscross, and I'm going to stick down my other foot. Now, what do we have to do again? We must connect at the bottom. Make sure it's really well connected. Even onto the other one if you can. Bring some over onto the other one. Use your wee tool if you needs be to press down. Okay, I'm going to turn that over. You can see this flipper's a wee bit thin at the top. I'm just going to fix it down. Now, that's my 2 feet on. Can you see that? Again, gives you a wee idea, just wee webbed feet. And as long as they're attached, and again, we must use our little tool to bring some of the front of the body down to attach to the feet, just to make sure they're attached at the top and the bottom. Okay. Now that's my feet on. I'm just going to flatten them down a little bit. See if you can see there. I'll even use my wee tool. Flatten them down so they're out in front of the finger. Now, you can see there how it looks so far. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to make a small little beak, and for this you literally need a tiny amount of clay. Okay, you're going to make a tiny amount, and you're just going to very carefully create a little, kind of like a triangle out of it. Okay, just using your fingers, squeeze one end into a little V kind of shape, and I'm going to pop that. I need to do my little scratch. Okay. And it's really important you do those steps, because these are the kind of little pieces that fall off very easily. And then taking your tool, try and press along the edges and get it joined with the main part of the pinch pot, the body. Can you see that there? So I've just taken a little bit of the beak from the side, 2 sides and the top, and pushed it down into the body, and then you just kind of mess around until it's all the same level again, the body part. Okay, so that's my little beak on. Make sure you push it over to the center and between the feet if possible. So now we just have to show where this little detail is going around the base. So with your little, whether you have a pencil or a cocktail stick or a skewer like me, you just take it and you're going to do a little kind of shape, kind of like curved here. It's like a back to front. Well, no, it's not back to front. That is kind of like a 3, and then on the other side it'll be like a back to front 3. Okay, so you come over and down, and then you're going the opposite way, like a back to front 3. This is just to show you then and kind of guide you when you're painting, that you know where you'll be painting white Okay? When you've that done, you might want to take away any clay that has come out of that outline. You might want to just make it nice and smooth. And take your time with it. I'm probably going a wee bit fast for you, but you can pause at any time. Okay, so you can see kind of roughly the little shape that I'm going for, which is basically to show where we paint the white and black. And that is literally all we do for the clay phase. You must wait now for that to, so it's kind of like a whitish grey at the minute. You must wait for that to dry off, and it usually takes 2 to 3 days, and it'll go a bit of a brighter white. And once you know it's hard and dry, you can paint then. And when you're painting, use acrylic paint if you have it, because it goes on really well and you don't need to do as many layers. But if you don't have acrylic paint, you can use your ordinary poster paint, but just make sure you do about 3 layers just to get the colour through. I used acrylic on this one, and I probably did about 2 layers. I did 2 layers on that one, and the colour came out nice and bright. Okay, so when you go to paint yours, you can do, it depends on your paint, you can do the 2 layers, or if you have the poster paint, you can do the 3 layers. But I hope that all made sense to you, and I hope you got on okay making your penguin. Just leave it now for a couple of days, and you can come back to this video for the colour scheme if needs be, or you can paint your penguin whatever colour you fancy. I just went for the orange on the feet and the beak, white for the tummy and the face, and then black and black eyes. All right, so there we have it. I'm going to let this little guy now dry off, and he'll have a little friend. I hope you enjoyed this kind of tutorial, and